Welcome to Mistral News. Today on the globe, hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets of Germany to protest against the far right in. The tensions between Egypt and Ethiopia persist. And the actor Alec Baldwin indicted again for involuntary manslaughter. But first, Hamas admits mistakes in October 7th attacks on Israel.
In a significant development, the Palestinian militant group Hamas has publicly declared its October 7th attacks in southern Israel as a necessary step in response to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories. However, Hamas conceded in a 16-page report that some faults happened during the attack, attributing them to the rapid collapse of the Israeli security and military system, along with chaos along the border areas with Gaza. Hamas said in the report, if there was any case of targeting civilians, it happened accidentally and in the course of the confrontation with the occupation forces. The report also said, many Israelis were killed by the Israeli army and police due to their confusion. Well, the devastating attack resulted in approximately 1,140 casualties, predominantly civilians, according to an AFP tally based on official Israeli figures. Among the victims were around 700 Israeli civilians and 76 foreigners. During the assault, around 250 hostages were also seized by the gunmen. In light of these figures, it can be said that this acknowledgement from Hamas is quite timid compared to the horrific massacre it orchestrated. It's as if they are admitting a certain level of responsibility, but reluctantly and against their will. Clearly, this is an attempt to appease Israel's anger, but it will likely take more than that to curb the vengeful momentum of the Israeli state. Zaid Mansouri for Mistral News.
Thank you, Zaid. Apparently, Hamas is not showing honesty in its report. Now, let's join Clara, who is talking about the weekend demonstrations in Germany.
Around 100 demonstrations have taken place since Friday across the country, bringing together a total of over 1.4 million people, according to the organizations Friday for Future and the Citizen Alliance Compact, who are among the organizers of the movement. The protests were triggered by the shock caused by the revelation of a meeting of extremists in Potsdam, near Berlin, where, in November, a project for the mass expulsion of foreign or foreign-born individuals was discussed. It is important to note that the far-right party, which entered parliament in 2017, is firmly in second place in the polls, around 22%, behind the Conservatives. This comes as the government coalition led by Olaf Scholz, in partnership with the Greens and the Liberals, faces record unpopularity. Obviously, the rise of the right in Germany and throughout Europe stems from the massive immigration over the past years, which appears to be out of control. We can recall Angela Merkel's contentious decision to extend humanitarian aid to around 1 million refugees, mainly from Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, seeking refuge in the continent. Advocates of the open door policy viewed it as a dedication to upholding human rights, whereas detractors contended that it would lead to economic strain, cultural conflicts, security concerns, and other enduring repercussions. The right seems to say that immigration can bring positive things to a country, but it should not be done in an uncontrolled manner, as if the doors of the country were wide open. Clara Novak for Mistral News.
Thank you, Clara. In Africa, there is some tension between Egypt and Ethiopia. Let's join Amina to know more.
Last fall, Ethiopia officially announced the completion of the filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Nile, touted as the largest in Africa. This declaration immediately heightened tensions with Egypt and Sudan, who see it as a threat to their water supply. Unfortunately, the fourth round of negotiations in December did not yield significant results. For Ethiopia, this $4.2 billion project is seen as legitimate and essential for its development. Sudan and Egypt, on the other hand, perceive it as a threat to their water supply, with potentially serious consequences on both human and environmental fronts. Cairo has even threatened to bomb the dam, raising fears of a possible war between the two countries. It seems evident that the two countries will have to come to an agreement to avoid a war, given that Egypt relies on the Nile for over 90% of its water needs. Amina Omondi for Mistral News.
Thank you, Amina. Now Grace will speak to us about actor Alec Baldwin case of involuntary manslaughter charge.
The American actor Alec Baldwin has been indicted again for involuntary manslaughter. On October 21, 2021, during the filming of the Western Rust in New Mexico, A tragedy occurred when Alec Baldwin used a firearm presumed to only contain blanks. Unfortunately, a real projectile killed the director of photography, Helena Hutchins. A first involuntary manslaughter charge against Alec Baldwin had led to the dropping of charges in April. However, prosecutors had warned that the investigation was ongoing, and the actor was not thereby exonerated. New charges remained possible and have ultimately materialized. The 65-year-old actor, who faces a potential 18-month prison sentence if convicted, has been proclaiming his innocence from the outset. Grace Cooper for Mistral News.
Thank you, Grace. We certainly haven't finished hearing about this tragedy. That's all for today. I'll see you another time. Thank you for watching and please subscribe to our channel. Emily Park for Mistral News.